What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Bones, Season 12, Episode 9, The Steel and the Wheels. So, typical Bones case, but a little bit of interesting stuff on the side. So, first let's talk about the case, because I figured it out literally within, I think, 5 minutes of watching what was going on. So pretty much, all it really took was they go to this bank, or actually, it may have been 10 minutes in, because it took a while for them to figure out, this guy was thrown into some sort of hay bale maker thing. So they find a ski mask and they find a gun, so they realize, oh, maybe he was robbing a place, and so you have to find out where he came from. And finally, after they get the skeleton and find out that he had whiplash and stuff, they finally realize that he came from a certain bank robbery that happened a while ago. And so as soon as they get to the bank, they talk to the bank manager, say, here's the teller who bravely stood up in the middle of being robbed and, kept her cool. I'm just like, gee, I wonder who did it. I mean, honestly, the only way they could have made it more obvious is if the brave teller who stood up to these people and, kept her cool, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, hey guys, guess what? She might be the killer. I mean, come on. Whenever you say something like that, oh, she was so brave. She's a hero. I know Bones typically tries to fool you into thinking one thing and when really it's something else, and that's not very clever at all. But this time, me saying that she's brave means that she's just brave. She's a hero. And we don't see her again until the very end of the episode, where we realize, oh yeah, she is the killer after. It was so obvious. Like, I instantly knew what was going on. The whole derby thing that happened, kind of just thrown in there so we can have, ooh, Bones gets to drive a car and get all excited because she's like, woohoo, I'm crashing cars. And I'm just like, yay, our main characters are acting like kids. Brilliant. Because that's what you want to see in a show for adults. You want to see the main characters who are adults acting like kids. So, yeah, that entire case is going on. Really boring, really stupid. The only part of it really that had any sort of significance is whenever they're talking to the victim's mother, and we realize that he was actually doing this to raise money to help pay for medicine because she has Parkinson's. I'm like, wow, that's really sad. Too bad we're not going to focus on that at all anymore in this episode. Like, they talk about it, it's like, man, that's touching. Push that off to the side. We got to get there. Crashing cars! Let's focus on the important things, guys. Not to mention the fact that Gordon Wyatt shows back up in this episode. They're talking about the crashing cars. I'm just like, this is the pinnacle of American society. I'm just like, yes, this is the pinnacle. Screw baseball, which is our pastime. Screw any other sort of sport that might possibly... No. This crashing cars, this derby, whatever it's called, that is the pinnacle. That. Because, yeah, we're stupid like that. So, yeah, all of that was done. On the outside of it, though, a little bit more interesting. Like I said, Gordon Wyatt comes back. I feel like somebody commented on one of my previous videos and said that this season is pretty much wrapping up all the stories. I can totally see it now. Like, it doesn't make the season any better. It still makes it really stupid. But now I understand why it's been like, okay, so we're focusing on this, and now we're focusing on this, now we're focusing on this, now we're focusing on this. And we have pretty much two stories being wrapped up here. You've got Gordon Wyatt coming back, and we kind of see what he's going through. Just see him back at the bureau for a second, but then he's like, you know what, I think I'm done. I think I'm good. That it gave me some excitement, but I'm good with being a chef. And on top of that, we have the Dr. Fuentes. Well, now he's Dr. Fuentes, the intern that always wants to hit on every woman possible. So he gets his doctorate, so now he's a doctor, and he talks to Cam about, there aren't really many positions for forensic anthropologists here, and so he's like, I realize now that I have my doctorate, I need to move on. So that's the end of his story. So it's just wrapping up their two stories. But they do bring back the Zack stuff, and I'm glad that they did that because honestly, aside from that first episode, it feels like until the last episode where we see Hodgins wanting to get involved in Zack's case and wanting to find new information or new evidence that might prove his innocence, we haven't talked about it at all. Well, finally, after last episode, what happened with Hodgins and him finding the evidence and Cam telling him, no, I can't trust that evidence, we see in this one he's much more focused on, I need to get this. I need to find evidence. And so he's using the help of Gordon Wyatt. And, he looked through all of Sweet's information, couldn't find anything. And so they start looking at Gormagon and what his mentality was. And they start really reviewing it. It was just interesting to see it all coming back. I love it whenever shows do that. Whenever they look back and say, okay, we're bringing some elements back in. And honestly, I had totally forgotten the name of the killer. And so them talking about the Gormagon, I'm like, this brings back memories. Like, I really enjoyed that. And, just the interesting thing about we didn't even realize that, yes, there was another apprentice, and yes, that apprentice was killed to make room for Zack to come in. And so they end up, at the end of the episode, they find the body. And so now it looks like there's blood on his sleeve, and so there's a good possibility that this will prove Zack's innocence. And so it's just, I really, really like the fact that they are focusing on that again, because honestly, that's what needed to be focused on this season. It didn't need to be all this crap about, oh, let's bring back these past characters, let's wrap up their stories nice and tidy. I don't care about any of that. They brought back Sully. I don't even remember who he was. I just kind of remember because they talked about it a little bit. They brought it back to my memory. I don't even care. And all of a sudden they're just like, oh, we gotta bring him back in so we can finish up his story, so we can talk about what that means. And I'm just like, who cares? Nobody. Honestly, any fans of the show probably hate it now because of how dumb it's gotten. So who are you trying to impress? Because you're not impressing me at all. I want to see more. I want to see a continuing story. I don't want to be like, oh, let's talk about the stuff from the past, guys. Let's just bring in these elements for one episode and then never talk about it again. Just like we did in the past. Like we talked about it for that one season, then we never brought it up again until right now. So it's really dumb how they're continuing to do that. Even in the midst of all of this interesting stuff with Zack's case and with the Gormagon and all of that, there's still that feeling of, oh, we brought back Gordon Wyatt just so we can wrap up his story, and now Fuentes, we've wrapped up his story, and that's all you need to know. So yeah, all in all, it's still a disappointing episode, not just because of the, oh, we need to wrap up everything feeling, but the case itself still sucks. You can't get past the fact that if you're going to have an episode where half of it is about a case and the other half is about the Zack Addy case, you can't have that one half suck and expect the episode to be good. That takes away from it. Even if the Gormagon stuff was entirely the most interesting thing I've ever seen in this show, that case would still bring it down to where it's like, it's average. So, all in all, they really need to get their crap together, because this is the 9th episode. There's 3 episodes left. At least as far as I'm aware. I don't think there's more than 12 this season. So, if they're going to go out, I want it to be on a high note. And it feels like, even with this whole thing, they found the body of the apprentice, it still feels like, okay, well, there's the end of that mystery. We know now for a fact that Zack is definitely innocent, because here's the body of the apprentice. So, that's all you need to know. There's no more mystery there anymore. So even with that discovery, which is interesting, it doesn't leave the door open for anything after this. It doesn't leave the door open for any sort of mystery where it's like, ooh, let's have an episode about this. Because we can't. We can't have an episode about this because they've already pretty much solved the mystery. All they have to do is test the blood. If it matches the lobbyist that was killed, boom, done. Zack's innocent. Let's get him out of jail. That's all you need to know. I don't know. Maybe they'll have an episode where Zack is back as the intern, or in the place of the intern, kind of like how it was for the first couple seasons. I'd like to see maybe 2 episodes like that, but I don't know. I don't know what to expect, because frankly this entire last season has completely gone against my expectations. I was hoping to see, a very interesting season based around Zack's story, based around what's going to happen there, but they wrapped it up in the first episode. The rest of the episodes have been either random cases or let's wrap up stories from the past, and it's just not interesting enough. You know, whenever you have stories that lasted for a season or lasted for a few episodes and we never saw them again, like Sully, I don't know how I'm supposed to have interest in that. I don't know how I'm supposed to be like, oh yeah, that guy that we saw for like half of a season maybe. Yeah, I totally want to see him come back into the show for the last season so I can kind of remember him. So all in all, yeah, I am frustrated and it's not getting better. The stuff with the Gormagon is interesting, but overall, it's still not getting better, and it's really disappointing. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What did you like and dislike about this episode? Let me know. We can talk about it and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Bones reviews, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.